My name's Chris Isepi. I've just got a couple of opinions that I want to talk about. And I don't normally do this, and I don't YouTube it, I don't do anything, but this time I'm going to, for the first time in my life. Ukraine at the moment is under attack from Russia. The Western countries are standing there watching a bully flog the daylights out of Ukraine. And this morning, after hitting a hospital and seeing the reports on the news, something seriously needs to be done by the Western countries. At the moment, they've got sanctions on Russia, but they need to either tighten those sanctions up far more severely to actually take some effect. Stop buying the Russian oil, because it's only 10% of the world's oil anyway. The fuel tycoons need to snap out of this, putting fuel up to over $2 a litre, just because Russia has decided to try to take over Ukraine. Absolutely rubbish. Now, we had politicians in the before the First World War and into the Second World War who wouldn't let a bully try and take over a small country that was free. So why is the Western world sitting on its bum, letting a bully try to take over a democratic country? Now, if it goes, there's going to be others that'll fall. We need to stop Russia in its tracks. Either choke it off completely, so the people within Russia itself will sort out Vladimir Putin, and everyone's too scared of World War III. I know World War II and World War I, the loss of life was massive. Everyone's worried that someone's going to press the nuclear button. To be honest, I don't think anyone will, for the simple fact it's a no-win situation, because they know the retaliation strikes would be sent. So it's a no-win at all. It'd be just back to, like what's happening at the moment in Ukraine, hand-to-hand combat in some places. But if we don't stand up to a bully that's trying to bully another nation, I take my hat off to the President or the Prime Minister of Ukraine. He has shown more guts, more determination, far more leadership than any of the Western country leaders. I think ScoMo could learn something from this man, because he has guts, he has determination, and he has great leadership. He's rallied his own country to its own defence, because the Western world is sitting on its ass doing nothing other than slapping with sanctions. We need to do something far more to help them. We're not doing nowhere enough. And we're sitting in a free country, being able to do what we want, go where we want, say what we want, without any repercussion. If our freedom was challenged, there would be a war, because someone would definitely come in for us. And yet we've got a small country like Ukraine that needs help. We should be delivering that help as soon as possible in more ways than one, including, and I hate to say this, but putting boots on the ground. We need to get in there. NATO needs to either put troops in there under the NATO flag to prevent war, or stand down and dissolve. NATO is failing, it's certainly not working, and something needs to be done immediately. Now, turning to Australia, and I was thinking about last night, because I was talking to some friends once, not so long back, and I said, geez, I wouldn't mind if I got in as a Member of Parliament, I'd grab that tree and I'd give it a good shake and see what falls out of it. And then, if I was successful, I'd then go forward to try to be, be the Prime Minister of Australia. And that's even a bigger joke. I've not been to a university to learn how to become a politician or learn the political ways in this country, in Australia, even though I'm born and bred here. I've seen everything since I've been born, from Whitlam's dismissal right through. Now, our Member of Parliaments, I have no time for them. I've never seen a skinny politician yet. I was at a park last year. I got invited to a park to receive an award from a group. One of the gentlemen in that group introduced me to one of the local MPs from Bundaberg. He was there having a morning breakfast with his little campaign buddies, and when the chap went up to talk to him and then wanted to introduce me, he didn't have any time for the old fellow. He was you could actually see him trying to deflect him away. And I thought that was rather disgusting. And he had no interest at all in what was going on. Yet he chose the barbecue area where this group was doing something this morning, and basically just overtook the little area just about. So, if that's the measure of MPs now, they really need to get a real life. Get out and meet your constituents face to face. That doesn't happen at the moment, because they're all self-centered and worried about, how to climb that political ladder, instead of worrying about the issues here and now and actually fighting for the people here and now. If I had the money, which I don't, I'd probably have a go at being a Member of Parliament, because I'd listen. We were born with 2 ears, 1 mouth. I'd listen to the people and take their concerns into Parliament. The only politician I have any respect for in Australia at all is Jackie Lambie. I just wish she wouldn't do her speeches in Tasmania in a chamber that's got very few people in it. I'd love to see her do the same speeches right in Canberra, in the heart itself, and let them have it. That is the same sort of way that I would go. I'm sick to death of politicians making false promises. They're too busy feathering their own pockets. Like I said before, I've not seen a skinny politician yet. This is just a fanciful dream now. If I became the Prime Minister of Australia, the first things I would do is I would look after the pensioners. They served this country. They've paid their taxes. They've paid their dues. They're the poor buggers that always have the hardest time. And if anyone's going to lose anything, it's usually the pensioners. They would be on the top of the list. Up the pension rate. And and if I had a treasurer that wouldn't listen to me, and if I said to him, we've got to reduce the cost of living a little so people can actually afford to eat and people can actually afford things, I want it brought down. Fuel would definitely come down, because I'd look at the fuel excise. It's absolutely ridiculous what the government throws on it in tax. Like I said, even in federal parliament, there ain't a skinny politician. Then, my next target after that would be the unemployed. Now, I don't know if any of you remember the old CES system, the Commonwealth Employment System. If there was a suitable course out there that would definitely get you into employment, they would pay for it. I know there's people out there that are course junkies, but you had to prove that the course you do would be successful in getting you another job. The jobs that the job providers, the training that the job providers give you these days is meaningless. All it serves is a tick in the box. That's why we've still got a lot of people unemployed, because people have career ideas where they would like to go, and they're not getting the support. For starters, I would put on for these job providers, I'd make them work harder and not keep badgering those that are honestly trying to find positions. Like, I got asked with one of these job providers, what career are you looking at? Because I walked in there and they saw my qualifications and they said, there's not a great deal we can do for you. I said, well, there is, in fact. There is, don't know if you can help, but I would like to do my Certificate 3 in Mines Rescue. Like, I've been doing mines rescue for years, but I don't have the formal qualification, and I'd like to do the Certificate 3 Mines Rescue, please. Oh no, we don't support people trying to get into the mining industry. That's exactly what I was told. We don't pay for those sort of courses. The most they pay for a course is $500, and they get a little card with a $500 thing on it, and that's it. There is not many courses that can actually get you into jobs for $500. The Mines Rescue course was $5,000. Now, that price of that Mines Rescue, Cert 3 Mines Rescue, has never come down much. When it first came out, it was around 15 and it dropped down to 5. So those sort of things, I would look at useful courses that people can actually get work with, not just a tick in the box, just to say, oh yeah, they've done it. So the employment providers can still get paid. I'd actually make them pay for proper courses that people can actually gain useful employment with. The other thing I'd look at and focus upon is the amount of manufacturing and businesses that have gone overseas, because trying to manufacture anything in this country or build anything in this country, Holden and Ford is a typical example of it, the costs are extremely high, and it's mainly the government slapping all these taxes on them. So we need to look at that and seriously bring these costs of everything down. At the moment, Australia is majorly overtaxed compared to any of the other countries around the world. So you hear the politicians go on about the GDP and all this. At the end of the day, those in the hot seats are the ones that raise all this in this country. We need to look at it, and we need to focus upon it. And I would be grabbing I'd probably grab a few of the union guys, sit them down. I'm not a union member, never have been, never will be. But I would grab them and we'd actually sit down and discuss how we could actually move this country forward, bringing back manufacturing stuff that can actually provide more employment. At the moment, jobs are hard to come by, and we need to be able to make it easier for them. And then the other thing I would definitely look at, and this is what the politicians in Canberra are going to absolutely hate, I would then turn around and I'd look at fringe benefits that go on within the parliamentary system in Canberra. So all of those that get chauffeured to work, sorry people, if I was in this hot seat, you would be driving your own cars, public transport to work. Guess what? If you're on public transport, you have to talk to your constituents, don't you? Something you guys would not like to do, because your ass is pretty high up the apple tree. Well, I'd shrink it right down. So politicians would have to drive their own cars to go to work. This pension base that they have after they leave Parliament, and including the Prime Minister and lifelong pensions and stuff, guess what? You don't get that if you work in the mining industry and you're leaving a mining company after you've been with them for 10, 15, 20 years. You don't get anything like that. Or any other job doesn't do that. So guess what? All that would be cut. Suddenly we're starting to find some savings, but we're finding them through Canberra. The other thing is, with all this jet setting a lot of these politicians do, guess what, guys? You'll be paying for it yourself unless it's on official business, and you would have to prove beyond doubt that it's on official business. The parties and all of that usually get put on in the parliamentary area, sorry guys, that will not happen anymore either. You want to put a party, your political party want to do something, you hire a venue, it comes out of your coffers and it doesn't come out of the public purse. The public purse will be used for infrastructure and getting things sorted. We're watching the emergency management systems that are happening now with the floods. We've had the bushfires. And I'm afraid the federal government is slow on moving. If I was in there, it would move fast, because considering that I have a background in that field, even as a volunteer, the bloody thing would change and move forward. Hospitals, healthcare, they'd get extra wards, extra nurses, because that's another thing the politicians hang off, is healthcare. The nurses are the backbone of this country. You didn't have nurses, the hospitals would come to a halt. So the nurses would get bolstered, the doctors would get bolstered, and the ambulance services, I'd be looking at that, because every state has ramping. Don't care what state you're in, all states have ramping. I would then look at bringing in and looking at the private sectors, making more use of them. We're moving forward in the 21st century, not sitting on our laurels and putting our hands under our backside anymore. And that will upset some of the high politicians and everyone that sees this. I'll probably get slagged off big time for that. So, and if I had a treasurer, him and I would work extraordinarily close together. This backstabbing that goes on with the politicians, because ScoMo originally wasn't voted in. He took out and then made a rule that no one can do that in the future. So his seat was safe, because he would have known that someone would have tried to do a coup and get rid of him. Anyone that was any bad blood within the ranks, I would actually sack them and get rid of them. Because by having bad blood in the ranks, you're not focusing on the issues that need to be focused on. You're focusing on in-house political fighting. There would not be any in-house political fighting. I don't mind a good debate, but fighting, backstabbing, throwing dirt at each other, that's not being a politician, that's bullshit. That would cease. Anyone ever did that, they'd be sacked. Didn't matter whether they're Liberal or Labor or Independent, they'd go. Any misconduct by anybody, there wouldn't be a 3-strike rule, they'd be gone. I would shake that tree by the base really hard and see what falls out of it. That's why I'll never get voted in. That's why there will never ever be a backer to say, Chris, we'll back you so you can go try your hand at being a politician and going to Parliament and giving them what for. Because I don't come backward, I come straight at you, and I'll come straight at your face. I'll get my facts right before I do it, and I'll find out anything and everything I need. But I'll come directly to you. I won't go sniggering around the corner to someone else and then do the old Chinese whispers, because by the time it gets to the end, it's changed so many times. I'd come straight to you, yourself, and lay it on the line. People at work already know I do that sort of thing. They reckon I'm about as tactful as a 15-pound sledgehammer. But as I say to them, at least you know where you stand with me. I don't lie and I don't bullshit. If it needs to be sorted, it needs to be sorted. I'm not going to turn a blind eye to it. So you fix it. If you don't fix it, we'll take this up to further, and whether I go straight up to management, higher management, more senior management, and I'll just walk straight in and I'll put it on the line. The same as if I had ever had the opportunity to become a politician. I wouldn't be lying in my pocket, and I certainly would not be making promises I couldn't keep. And if I was out on a barbecue in the morning and people came up and wanted to talk to me, I'd give them the time of day, and probably I'd give them a feed while I'm at it. And that's just the way I am. I'm 57, probably a bit old to be a politician, but I'd come in swinging, and I'd use the biggest, meanest, nastiest stick I could find. Because at the moment, the politics need to be sorted out in this country. It is bad. And if our politician, Mr. ScoMo, doesn't sort out the price of fuel, because pensioners can't afford $2 a litre, this is all scare tactics and scaremongering. This shit needs to stop. Because I've also worked in Central Australia, and I know we've got oil wells and gas wells capped out there. The funny thing is, we bring up our oil, we export it, and then we buy it back. We have refineries here that could do the job. let's bloody well do our job and get the oil refined here in this country. Why can't we produce our own, which would bring down the cost of oil and it'd bring down the cost of fuel, which is necessary for people to either get to work in this country, which is a real basic thing for people that need to go to work. This pulling a spoon out and gouging the driver's eyes out and taking an arm and a leg is getting over the top and needs to be sorted. Okay, I'll read the comments later. Any suggestions, please let us know. Thank you for listening. Thanks for kicking me in the backside if you think I deserve it. And have a safe week and weekend coming up. This is Chris Isepi signing off. And everyone knows my thoughts.